Welcome to another edition of a Working Parents Network monthly workshop at the University of Kentucky. Today we will be talking about parenting goals that matter. So let's start with this quote. You don't need to create great memories for your children. Play with them, laugh with them, give them your attention, and the memories will make themselves. I really appreciate this quote because as you start to talk about goals, sometimes it can be encouraging and other times it can be discouraging. But nonetheless, as you are talking about creating effective parenting goals, keep in mind that at the end of the day, what your children really want more than anything is for you to play with them, laugh with them, and simply pay them attention. So, what are parenting goals? Parenting goals are what you want to accomplish in your parenting in short and long term. So basically, setting parenting goals is basically thinking about what do I want to accomplish? What are some things I want to do? It could be in the next month or 3 months or this year when it comes to my parenting. It could be goals that are related specifically to you as a parent. And it could be goals that's related specifically to your child or your children. It could be based on a season that that child is in. It could be their age. It could be some sort of a child development goal. Goals vary, but the main thing is that you think about something that you want to accomplish. And then, of course, the good thing about setting goals or intentionally writing it down is that it helps you to keep track of it. It helps you to stay focused on this goal because it's very easy when you are overwhelmed as a parent dealing with day-to-day responsibilities and challenges and surprises even. It's very easy to prioritize your short term goals or things that you need to get done that day or pop up. And then next thing you know, a month has gone by, and that one goal that you set, you haven't even started working on it. So it's good to think about that goal, write it down, revisit it often, and make sure you stay on track. And then just adjust as needed. Sometimes you're going to find that you need to tweak the goal as you go. Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to parenting goals is that sometimes we have hidden goals. Sometimes we have goals that are obvious. Like you can say, I want to help my child learn how to tie their shoe independently. That's a pretty obvious goal. Or you want them to learn how to clean up behind themselves after they eat a meal. That's an obvious goal. But a hidden goal could be something like you want your child to be more obedient or respectful. And sometimes that comes out if you find yourself yelling a lot at your child or being short in patience with your child, that could be a sign that you have a hidden goal. And your hidden goal is you want obedience, you want respect, you want consistency, but it's showing up in your yelling. So, one of the most important things to keep in mind with creating parenting goals is that by setting goals, they help you to stay on track with things that you say are important to you. So, what are some parenting goals? There's three types. There's parenting centered goals, child centered goals, and relation centered goals. When you think about parenting centered goals, these are goals that focus on the parent's needs, such as maybe obedience or compliance. Parent centered goals are often concerned about making sure the children are doing some particular task or behaving in a certain particular way. So that's one when they think about parent centered goals. Child centered goals are goals where the parent is really centered on the child and teaching the child lessons and values, showing them how to interact socially, for example. And so parents tend to be concerned about teaching children important and personal or social lessons. That falls in the categories of child centered goals. So basically, goals that will help the child as they interact with others and learn and maintain themselves. And then there's relation centered goals. Relation centered goals are goals that are concentrate more so on fostering close relationships and harmonious connections among family members or friends. So distinct relations. So the parent centered goals are all about things the parents have in mind for the child, things that they want them to learn, ways they want them to grow, and they could be wonderful goals. And the child centered goals are things, again, very specific to the child. And then, of course, that means these will vary from child to child. And then there's relation goals, just how you want them to interact with others and communicate effectively with others. So when you think about the type of parenting goals that aren't inherent, they are not inherently good or bad, but the behavior inspired by them can lead to differences in parenting styles. So let's talk about parenting styles. There's four type of parenting styles that you're probably pretty familiar with. There's authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and neglectful. Check out this little quote that probably most parents can identify with. It's by Gemma Douglas. And it says, I try so hard to gentle parent, but I don't do it all the time because sometimes I'm the impatient parent, the reactive parent, and the struggling parent. Sometimes I'm the anxious parent, the exhausted parent, and the overwhelmed parent. But I'm also the committed parent, the loving parent, and the forever trying parent. So, a quick note about the parenting styles. The authoritarian parent, this parent is usually pretty responsive to the child's needs, but they also have really high expectations of the child. They are oftentimes pretty open to having conversations with the child. They are open to their emotional needs and they're open to being flexible sometimes with the standards and the goals and expectations. But they do enforce and they expect children to follow their expectations, but they're a little flexible. The authoritarian parent, this parent has high demands. They set high demands for the child and they're low responsiveness. So basically, when you think of their authoritarian, they are in authority focused. They feel like they're in charge, they're the parent. You do what I say, and that's that. So the child could be upset, angry, have an opinion, and they're like, nope, do it my way. So that's one way to think about the authoritarian. The permissive parent, that parent is kind of low demanding. They may not have quite as many expectations of the child. They're highly responsive to what the child wants, and may not be quite as much to what the child needs. So basically, this is the parent that sometimes can appear to be pretty. Um, they give in to the child's demands, at a moment's notice, or they may not have quite as many expectations of them. The other one is the neglectful or the uninvolved parent. Of course, that one, they don't have as many demands and they're also not as responsive to their needs. So, parenting styles and practice. When you think about parenting styles, that is where the emotional climate in which the parents raise their children. So, that parenting style, do you have a household that feels like it's authoritarian or authoritative? That's kind of the feel of the way you're raising your children. And then the parenting practice is a very specific action that parents employ in their parenting. So you can be, for example, an authoritative parent, but how you express that is going to vary. And if you're authoritarian, one example could be you say lights out at 10 o'clock, you mean lights out at 10 o'clock, no exception. The authoritative may be a little more flexible because the child may say, well, I have homework and I need 30 more minutes. And they may say, okay, you got 30 more minutes. The permissive parent may not have a bedtime at all or curfew. The uninvolved parent may not even know what the child needs or be meeting those needs. So just think parenting style and then how it's expressed is what we consider parenting practice. So parents should adopt the same authoritative parenting styles, but different parenting practice according to the child's temperament. That's a really good thing to keep in mind. So if you consider yourself authoritarian or authoritative parent, you'll find that that is expressed differently based on your child's temperament because the child's temperament is just different. And that's just something to keep in mind. So different children need different things and they need different approaches to your parenting style. So when you think about the best parenting goals, you want to strive to make goals that are relation centered and strengthen your positive relationship with your child. Relation centered. That's basically saying that you really want to pay attention to the child's needs, pay attention to the stage that they are in life, the child development what's going on with them, as a person at home or at school, their emotions, those kinds of things. So you want to think about, how can I make this a healthy home and a healthy relationship? And then parenting love is powerful. I love this concept of parenting love. Parenting love is characterized by warmth, affection, care, comfort, concern, nurture, support, acceptance, or simply love that a child can feel from their parents. The parents' love can be felt when they hug the child, kiss the child, praise them, compliment them, say nice things about them. So that's that parenting love. So children, they do need their parents or caregivers to provide a specific type of positive response to develop physically and mentally. And this is where that parenting love comes in. Every child is different. Every child is not going to want to hug. Some will be good with a high five. Some will be good with a conversation. Some will be good with a walk. They're going to need different things. So it's up to us as parents to just pay attention, to dial in, to tune in to our child, and to determine how can we express that parenting love in a way that they can receive it. So examples of good goals for parents. Now, at this space, I want you to think about, these are goals for parents. Some of them can be also for your child, but as a parent, what are some things you may be thinking kind of almost high level? So one, you want to develop mutual respect. You want to allow open communication and bi-directional feedback. So what that means is you're teaching your child to be respectful. You want to hear from them what they need, what their concerns are. You also want to take some time for self care for yourself. It's very easy to be caring for children and family and friends and colleagues, and really not do enough of self care. So, for your own parenting goals, what can you do better or more of, or start for self care? Take care of your child's mental health. Really be tuned in to what's going on with them. That may be expressed differently depending on the child. Some children may withdraw, some children may act out. So just kind of pay attention to, what do you need to do to assist them with their mental health? Do you need to help them or teach them how to take breaks, for example? Do you need to teach them breathing techniques? Whatever is needed, just be open to it. Build trust so your child will not be afraid to come to you with problems. Very important. Be supportive and foster independence. Nurture critical thinking skills. Study more about child development. Find ways to improve your parenting skills. That may be reading books, it may be joining groups, it may be talking to other parents. Whatever you need to do to improve your parenting skills, be open to options and go for it. Use positive reinforcement. Turn a challenging situation into a learning opportunity. This one can be a really good one for parents, because sometimes as parents, you may say, oh gosh, I can't believe I just said that, or I just did that, or I forgot that. And you have to say, okay, what can I do better next time? How can I approach that differently next time? So just learn from those challenging situations. Foster resilience and tolerance for distress. Read books together. Form healthy habits together, like sticking to a balanced diet. And then, of course, become a positive role model for your child. So, how can you set parenting goals that matter? That's our big question today, right? How do you set parenting goals that matter? Few things to think about. For one, everyone's parenting skills and experience levels are different, and your children are at different levels of their development. So when you're setting your parenting goals, you're going to set ones that make sense. For example, if you have a 3-year old, or goals that make sense if you have a 1-year old, or a 12-year old, or a 17-year old. Whatever the ages of your children may be, you're going to want to set goals that make sense for them and make sense for you at that stage of your parenting. Also, you want to determine what parenting goals could be first, that you need to do first, and like what's a priority. So for example, if your child plays sports and it's soccer season, or if they're in ballet and there's a performance coming up, then you may have to set some goals around what's happening in your life. Also, here's some things to think about when you're talking about setting parenting goals. Do you feel like the following? Do you feel like you yell too much? You feel like you can't get your kids to listen? Do you feel like you wish your kids would fight less or squabble less, or would not fight at all? Do you feel like you need more patience and you have no patience left? Do you feel like you wish there was less screen time in your home? What can you do about that? One parent made a really good recommendation that children earn screen time, and that's what she does in her home. They have to earn, they have to do certain things to earn like 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and it can add up, but there's a max amount per day. So that's a pretty cool concept. Just one idea. And do you ever feel like you never have enough time to connect with your children? Maybe because you guys have a lot of activities going on. And that's a good thing for parents too. If your goal is to connect with your children more, that means you may need to cut out some of the activities. You may need to say one activity at a time, instead of like you're in ballet and you're also in soccer, or you're in t-ball and you're also in karate, like that kind of thing. Because that will have your family running all the time and less time to connect. Also, you can be creative. So as you're driving to these activities, you can maybe not have the radio on, or you can play games and you can talk. So you can always be really creative, to meet some of these goals. If you feel like you never have any time for yourself to recharge, this is where a routine bedtime can be super helpful, because you just need some time to recharge, to collect yourself. Maybe you like to read and you want to read, or you just want to talk to friends, or you need to prepare meals for the next day. Whatever it is you need to do, sometimes it's just a routine bedtime is your friend, or naps are your friend. Feel like you're constantly cleaning up after others, and then once you know what you want to fix or improve or change, you can set your own parenting goals. So basically, it will require you to pause and think, what do we want to do now? It could be child development related, it could be family related, situational, it could be skills related, it could be academic skill. You want your child to learn, for example, multiplication tables, or you want them to learn how to write better, or what have you. So you have to really be intentional. And so you're going to set your own parenting goals, and you're going to be specific about what you want to see happen in what time frame. And also you have to be flexible because you may have to adjust the time frame. So here's some examples of parenting goals that matter. Some of these may resonate with you. You may say, yes, that's me. And you may say, nope, I don't see me on this list, but you know what your parenting goals are. Or you may at least, maybe if you have a partner, you can ask your partner, what are some things that you guys want to accomplish as parents? If you have, with your children, you can ask them, what are some goals they have? And then you can help them set goals, and you get to model for them the importance of being intentional when you want to set goals. So here's some examples. One, do you maybe want to connect more as a family? What does that mean? Do you have a game night? Do you have a movie night? What does that mean? Um, do you sing songs together? Do you have dance breaks together? Whatever. Do you want to yell less, focus more on your family values? And what does that mean? What values specifically do you want to focus on? Become more consistent with rules and consequences. Do you want to get your kids to listen to you more? Do you want to recharge and focus on self care without the mom or dad guilt? Do you want to instill more responsibility in your kids and do less for them? Basically, teaching them how to be responsible. Do you want to have less screen time in your home? So, these are just some examples. So, here's 6 parenting tips for setting goals with your child. This is with your child. So, you choose a goal that is just out of reach. It could be they want to learn how to ride a bigger bike, or they want to learn some skill. They want to learn, the multiplication tables. Just use that example. And so they're saying, this is what I want to do. So you want to make sure the goal is attainable, but it should require some effort, some work. And then what you want to do with them is you want to break the goal down. So they say, I want to learn my, first 4 multiplication tables. And you may have them write them down on index cards, or buy a poster to put on the door. You may do flashcards, or whatever you do. You just kind of have them break it down. And then let your child own it. Keep in mind, this is their goal. If you're setting a goal with them, this is their goal. So you want to help them to stay on track, but actually at the end of the day, they need to stay on track if they're older. Now, mind you, if they're like a 5-year-old, then you may need to help them a little bit more than, say, a 16-year-old. You want to show support and role model for your child, like support them, encourage them. If they forget something related to the goal, maybe tell them no worries, we'll work on it tomorrow. Those kinds, like model to them self-care, model to them self-compassion. just as much as you're modeling to them the importance of meeting that goal. Also, you want to reward accomplishments and offer encouragement. There's different ways to do that. If you're not into monetary things, maybe you can reward them with extra screen time, or reward them with a dessert of their choice. You can reward them a whole lot of different ways. If you're giving money, maybe you can give them $5 if they meet a certain goal or whatever. But you do, if that is the case, you do want to let them know at the beginning of that goal that here's, if you reach this goal, here's the reward. Maybe you go out to dinner, or they go to a gaming place, or whatever, you get a new game, new toy, whatever. It's going to depend on the child and their interests, what they see as a reward. So that's also a good thing to keep in mind. Think about and talk about with them what the reward should be, what they would want it to be, and then let them be a part of that decision. So examples of goals that you can work on with your child, and I've been mentioning this multiplication table because it's such a tangible one, but memorizing multiplication table, advancing in a reading level, learning how to ride a bike, or it could be skateboard or jump rope, just all kinds of things. Learning how to get organized, learning how to maybe get dressed by a certain time every day, or learning how to play an instrument, learn a new language, and so forth. So if you want to really take this to the next step, you can pause and just say, you know what, I do want to think a little bit about parenting goals for my family. So what are some goals that you can set for yourself? What are some goals you can set for your child? And you may think, okay, what can we do this month? It may be one thing in the next 3 months, or by the end of the summer, by the end of the year. You can set goals like that. It could be a goal related to academics, a goal related to self care, a goal related to obedience, a goal related to organization. So you can really categorize it. And the more tangible you can make it and more specific, the more likely you are to pursue it. So let's think boundaries. When we talk about parenting and goals, parenting goals, parenting styles, with all of this, you still have to have some boundaries. Because when you set these goals, you have to think, okay, what makes sense for me? What doesn't make sense for me? What makes sense for my child? What doesn't make sense? So here's this little quote that's pretty interesting and thought provoking when it comes to boundaries. I have to set limits for my own wellness. And even though I may say no to you, it doesn't mean it's even about you. I'm just taking care of me. So sometimes when you're setting goals for yourself, you may find that you have to put boundaries around other things in order to reach that goal. So if you have a goal to save money because you're taking a family vacation in the summer, and therefore you cannot go out to eat with your friends every Friday, as an example, you may have to set that boundary. Maybe your friends say, "Hey, let's go shopping. Let's go to the mall. Let's go to a certain place to buy things," and your goal is, "I need to send my child to this summer camp. Therefore, I can't just be spending all this money." So that could be a boundary. So just want to keep in mind as you're setting these goals, sometimes your goals will come with necessary boundaries. This poem, "The Last Time," is pretty interesting. I encourage you to look it up. It just talks about basically the last time that spending time with family and friends, and you never know when it's going to be the last time. So make the best of it. So as we close, I just want to thank you for participating in this presentation sponsored by the Working Parents Network at the University of Kentucky.